Welcome to the Sky Show, everybody. This is a Martin Johnson Heade Sky Show. Blurry, grayish. Tools you're gonna need are wet paper towels, wrung out so there's no water left in them. Also gonna need a nice little sponge, disc sponge, cellulose, and a large brush, and that's it. Okay, with this particular one, we'll start with white. White's the weakest color, so the darker the color, the stronger it is. So here we'll start with white. And then with the colors you have in there, it's a little bit of blue and gray, tiny bit of cerulean blue, and gray. Now, I'm not going to do too much of it, and the reason is because that if you do too much at a time, it's hard to blend it. So go back in white. I'll get it darker on the sides. In the corner here, I'll go really dark. It's just adding more pure black to it. And then there's some magenta in there. Not a lot. You don't want to look like Barney. So, tiny bit of gray and the magenta. So the magenta goes more in the gray than the white. So in here I'll get like a little blob of magenta, put that in there and scrub it. And I'll use white again. So I'm starting to need to pay attention more to the brush strokes. So the brush strokes, don't hold it like this, like you're painting, and don't pick your brush up. So instead, you hold it back here like this. You feel like you're going to club a baby seal and scrub it using a random pattern like this. Then we'll add the lighter values here in a second. And with white, you can tell this is kind of thick right here by the texture. And I'll come in here with this. I'll take the same color up here. And you don't want it too thick, or you're gonna have like a textured canvas, so you want it kind of smooth. So to do that, I'll take the white again in here. And it's kind of modeled, so you don't really have like, they're not like clouds, but they're like kind of like scumbling, using the side of the brush to get like a nice little variance in there. And then here, I'll come in, there's like little light areas that are really predominant, like a little cloud, and that's gonna go later. So this is layer one right now. Multiple layers to come. And then, so I have kind of a decent scrub there. And here I'll go more pure white. The subject is gonna be a darker haired dog, so I'm gonna keep the lighter values down here. And all scrubbing. Now I'm gonna come in with like a little raw umber. Remember, we wanna change color quite a bit, so I'll come in here with a little raw umber. It's not gonna look brown, it's just gonna, when it blends in, it'll just look like a hazy color to it. So it's not gonna be as saturated. No saturated colors. So kind of murky, little party on this thing. All right, this is layer one. And down here on the bottom, sure, I'll get even more white. All right. All right, before this is dry, right now, if you take a pencil, a line through it, you can see the thickness of it. And what that does, it allows you to blend a lot longer. So now I'll take a clean towel. So clean towel right here. And my mic went dead. Then lightly hold this thing. So now I'm just like scrubbing it super gently, like barely anything on there. Almost no pressure. And then with some of the thicker areas, I'll press down a little more, maybe rub some of this way over here. But your first coat, when you're doing skies, you always want it pretty thick. And I'll show you what to do with the sponge here in a second. Then as I go to the darker areas, I'm gonna trade this out for the towel to a sponge. And we're also gonna make this darker here. So here, dark for the darker area, I'm gonna switch sponges because I don't want white to get into that darker area. Scumble, really light. You can see how long you have to blend just because of how thick the paint is. And it's getting smoother and smoother the more I go over it. Then here, so it's super light, super fluffy. Put that on there and it's barely blended. And this is all for layer one. Now you should let this dry before you do layer two. But it's a magic show, so we can't wait. All right, so that could be like layer one over the entire thing. Then after you have layer one done, I'm gonna come back in with a little bit more of the black and magenta even. And we'll start getting that. Now I had some white still on the brush. I wanna get rid of that, so I'm gonna rinse off the brush and dry it off so there's no excess water. You have a wet brush when you put this on there. it's not gonna work, it's gonna lift. So I'll go really dark here, scrub it with just the black, maybe a little bit more magenta. And now this is going on top of the first layer. And to get those cloud formation kind of things, I'm gonna lightly go. So see how small the strokes are? I would use the word hecka small. Hecka small strokes, and you're starting to get the little cloud things that he has. And they're not like traditional clouds, like a cartoon cloud. These are just sort of atmospheric blobs. And I'll come in there. As long as your brush strokes are good, like these are just kind of all super small stumblets. This is the actual speed you need to go, right here. Super small, super slow. Right here, that area looks really bad. So I'll just come in here with the brush, super small, super slow. It's faster to go slow and do it right and do it once, and try to go fast, have to redo a hot mess. And I'll come in here with this one. So that's kind of like how you get all the dark values that are in there. And then for the lighter values, the same thing. I'm gonna come in here with the towel and then rinse that off a little bit. Pretend it's dry again. And then here, I'll add like a little peak of a cloud. Sort of just like I'm mainly worried about the top, this part right here. And the bottom, I'm gonna blur out more. So now I have like a pure white kind of thing going on there. Then I'll clean up my brush, not with water, paper towel. Then I can come in here with this, scrub it, have it come up again, and then I'm gonna shift brushes from the large brush to a small brush to get the cool detail. And super small strokes. Super small. Little baby strokes, and then have it fade out down here. You don't want like a puffy cloud that goes like this. So it's all about blurring it out from one value to another value. And then inside, it's going to get even brighter, but I'm going to shift my brushes now. I'm going to use a smaller round brush. With a smaller round brush, once again, it should be dry. Smaller round brush, I'm going to come in here and add more detail to it. And this is still wet, so some of my paint's blending. So now I'll go like a little blob right there, side of the brush, then lightly blur it out. So you gotta be patient for this part. And on this part, when you wanna blend this into that, you don't have to be as patient. Now you can come back in and use those slightly larger strokes. Blur it out, so super soft. Blends it out one into the other. And that's more or less Martin Johnson Heade Sky. And then this is layer 1. I'd recommend probably doing about 3 layers on this thing. And that's it.